So, welcome to the session. We are studying Master's book, The Existence of God is Self-Evident. This is our second session on this book. We had completed chapter 1 the last time. If you missed the previous session, the recording is available. If you know where it is, just access it. If you don't, well, just drop a message and we will help you out. So, chapter 2, Union of Spirituality and Science. So it's a good question to think, why has Master Choa, in a book which is on a spiritual topic, why is he interested in science? He's name of the chapter is Union of Spirituality and Science. So ऐसा क्या? Why the need for a chapter or this discussion on science? So I'm sure you have a lot of insight into that. But my thoughts I'll just quickly share. You see, you have to remember that Master Choa by education is an engineer. And also in terms of his approach to all topics, whether it is healing, whether it is spirituality, everything he approaches in a scientific or a rational, logical manner. Yeah. And also, I think when writing this book, he knows that this generation, future generations, they are going to be even more mentally developed people. So more science oriented, more interested in science, and not likely to read books that are, completely mystical. तो मेरे को ऐसा लगता है, this is what I think, that this is why Master has, included this chapter where he is discussing how science and spirituality are uniting or coming together. Yeah. Now, as we discuss this, just a little discussion on what is science. So science, here we can think of as two things. Number one, it becomes a method of study. You see, to study anything, you can have a scientific approach or you can have, many different approaches. So science जो है एक, what we call vigyan, in Hindi we call it vigyan. It is a method of studying something which is based on a particular process. You observe, you analyze, you hypothesize, you create a theory, then you test the hypothesis, you do experimentation, and then you say, okay, unless this theory is proved wrong, I believe this to be true. Something like that. And these theories tend to be evolutionary. जैसे Newton came and gave his laws of motion. But much later, Einstein came and he said that yes, his laws are not wrong, but in different conditions, they have to be extended. They are not sufficient. Something like that. Now the thing is that science gives us a way to deal with nature, to deal with the physical world. But unfortunately, science is limited as it stands right now. It is limited to the senses. Agar koi, if there is a phenomena that is beyond the senses, what we call metaphysical phenomena, the so-called, I'm using this to show quotation marks, scientists, they tend to have a closed mind. They tend to reject that. And they don't even want to investigate it. Yeah. So this is a slightly, limiting part of science. And hopefully now, as we read this chapter, we will see how science will evolve. At the present moment, I'm now reading from the book. At the present moment, science sometimes seems to be incompatible with spirituality, which is what I was talking about. Because, spirituality, when we say spirituality, what does it mean? It means the study of what is the spirit. Now, the spirit is not physical, the spirit is beyond the senses. So, इसलिए science has a problem. Science has a difficulty, actually, not difficulty, I would say limitation. It refuses to accept. So that is why Master is saying there is an incompatibility. What we call science is actually physical science. What we call spirituality is actually inner sciences. or sciences not dealing with the physical world. So, in a sense, physical sciences and what I may call metaphysical sciences. I'm sorry, physical world, our day to day science. Metaphysical world, that Master is saying, is the study that is carried out by the spirituality. The process of the union between science and spirituality is already in progress. This is the good news. This can be seen in the field of quantum physics merging with mysticism, in homeopathy, in acupuncture, feng shui, qi kung, vibrational medicine, and others. Are you familiar with quantum physics? If you have read about quantum physics or if you have some awareness of quantum physics, some of the theories in quantum physics, they are like mystical. Mystical, आप समझ रहे हैं, मतलब वो they seem to be very hard for the logical mind to accept. For example, you please look it up. I won't discuss it in detail here. Schrodinger's theorem and Schrodinger's cat, C-A-T, cat. You know, Billy, the animal cat. So there is this famous thing called Schrodinger's cat. Please read about it. We won't discuss it here because, we'll go beyond this and we'll waste time, or we will, use time in something else. But that is what it is. So broadly, science of the physical world, science of the soul, science of the non-physical or metaphysical world, spirituality. And Master says they are now merging, or they are coming to the same place. That process has already started, and Master has given examples. Pranic healing, I've turned the page. Pranic healing and Arhatic yoga are examples of the union between science and spirituality. This trend is inevitable and will become stronger in the future. Master is using strong words. Inevitable ka matlab hai cannot be stopped. It will happen. And then again he says will become stronger. It doesn't say may. He is not giving any loophole. He's saying it will become. And actually, there are predictions which you will come across in Theosophy that future generations of humans will have a day-to-day normal awareness of at least the etheric plane. Abhi jaise what we learned in pranic healing, we learned to deal with the etheric plane. Our energy body, the so-called pranic body, is at the etheric plane. So it is said, or it is predicted, that future generations of humans will be, that will be commonplace. Abhi it is not commonplace. Out of the 7 billion people in the world, how many you think know about the etheric body? Right? So, but later it will become, apparently, few generations from now, it will be commonplace. Everybody will know. Maybe it will be taught in schools. Maybe, like we have books of physics, there will be books dealing with the etheric world. And also, just let me remind you of a beautiful quote by Master Choa. Somewhere he has said, pranic healing is a bridge to spirituality. So think about it. Why does Master call pranic healing a bridge to spirituality? I think for most of us, our introduction to, let us say, a structured study of spirituality has started with pranic healing as the first step. पहले हमने प्राणिक हीलिंग सीखी, उससे we learned that, or we began to understand and accept that there is something beyond the physical senses. And that then made, spirituality, or understanding spiritual truths, much easier. Like I keep giving this example. I have been, for many years, even before I got into pranic healing, I have been studying the Bhagavad Gita. Not studying, but reading. So there is this famous shlok which describes the soul. It uses terms like it cannot be, water cannot dissolve it, and sword cannot, weapon cannot cut it, and fire cannot burn it, and so on. That is how Lord Krishna explains what the soul is, or how the soul is, to Arjun. Now it's difficult to I couldn't, it didn't make much sense to me. But once I got into pranic healing, then it immediately made sense to me. Why? Because once I understood this whole concept of energy, I understood this thing of the reality of, prana and the non-physical world. Then I could see that, oh yes, the soul, it's like energy, it's something, it's pure energy. So now just be careful. The trend is inevitable. It cannot be resisted. Now, what is our choice? We can participate in bringing this understanding, this knowledge, this acceptance of the spirituality into our neighborhoods, into our families, into our friends, into our social circles. That is what we can do. Okay, let's read on. There is a clear distinction between spirituality and religion. Now, this is a very important part. Religion tends to be sectarian. Sectarian means, it creates sects, and that leads to exclusion. It is not inclusive, it is exclusionary. I am of X religion, so all people who are not of X religion are excluded from my religion. Are you understanding? So it focuses on differences. And very often in religions, you will find that sects, not only sects, but then there are subsects. Like, for example, in Hinduism, there is the Vaishvite school. Am I saying it correctly? There was the school of people who worship Vishnuji, and then there is the school of Shaivites who worship Shiv. And they've actually fought battles. They have fought battles between themselves. So this is, sectarianism is a part and parcel of religions. It tends to be based on belief and tends to be partially distorted by some of the followers of the founder. Now, this also is practically a necessity. You see, the founder is usually somebody who's very, very highly spiritually evolved. That founder, puts out his wisdom. That founder will put out his or her wisdom, will share it with the followers. Now, the followers' capacity to understand it is limited. And because of that limitation, they tend to have a distorted understanding. And then when they pass it on to the next line of disciples, it is even further distorted because by the same method. है ना, हर रंग में, like even in our school there is Master Choa from Lord Mahaguruji Milling, Master Choa, then the acharyas, then the senior instructors, and then all of us. So there is a difference in the ability to understand in pure, uncorrupted, undistorted form, you know. So now here, I would just like to point out, this is why Master Choa was very careful to put as much as possible of his knowledge into books. And I also suggest to you that, not only suggest, but strongly recommend that your access to Master Choa's teachings should be through his books and, of course, his videos. But not second hand. If I tell you something, oh, Master Choa used to say this, you need to double check. This is our job. You see, it is our responsibility. We should not allow the school of pranic healing to become a religion, which it will if we, instead of, learning directly from the source, we start learning from the intermediates. So you may listen to me, but you need to validate from what Guruji has said. And Guruji has kind of said everything in his books. So the books become very, very important. In some instances, religion tends to be the cause of much suffering due to war, while spirituality deals with the inner sciences. So, Master is not saying this, but spirituality tends to be inclusive. It tends to be inclusive. It tends to have a unifying effect. Why? Even though, I may have a different religion and you may have a different religion, I may have a different, race and caste and gender and this and that. Why it unites is because it teaches us the underlying truth is we are all souls. And when we see ourselves as the soul, we are then we find something that is unifying us rather than separating us. आप समझ रहे हैं मेरी बात? I hope I am able to make this clear. This is the main difference. Spirituality based on the fact that you are the or I we are the souls. हम सब आत्मा है. If we are the soul, that unifies us. You see, it's something I usually give this example. You think of these two fingers. Think of these two fingertips. If these fingertips look outside and then they see each other, they say, I am different, you are different. Correct? अगर ये बाहर की तरफ it is looking outwards and see each other, they say, I am different, you are different. But if they were to look inwards, then they would say that we are part of the same. We are part of the same unified entity. We are not different. We are just only in some things we are different. Mostly we are the same. Okay, although there should be a separation between religion and state, there should be no separation between state and spirituality. Again, very, very, Master has put it in italics to emphasize. This is a very important direction given to the world. When we look, every 5 years we vote. When we vote, we have to look for people who are spiritual, people who live their life with this soul consciousness, who take decisions based on I am the soul. Because then they are not working out of personal benefit. Are you understanding? Because when our leaders will be more talking about religion, then that is a warning sign. That means that they are not serious about spirituality. But when they come to the unifying thing, I am the soul, you are the soul, we are all souls, then we should have greater faith in them. And perhaps in the future, this will become a guideline for people to choose their leaders. People will, we already talked about it. People will have greater awareness of the etheric plane. So they will scan and decide कि this leader has greater soul awareness, greater soul energy in his aura. So therefore we should vote for him. Something like that. So, again, my important thing to tell you here is please let us all be careful that master's school does not become a religion where things are blindly taught, there is distortion, and that is, passed on forward. We must make sure that purity is maintained, and it is not difficult for us to do so because we have the books. Sometimes I come across healing protocols. And it amazes me. What is this healing protocol doing? It is completely contradictory to the principles that Master has given in the Advanced Pranic Healing book. In fever, the person's spleen is being energized with red prana. That at least in my limited understanding, that is contrary to what Master has taught. Just giving an example. So we need to be, we need to go back to the book. If you come across a protocol, somebody gives you a protocol for a particular thing, go and find, you must validate it. It must be validated. And the method of validation, open the book, advanced book, find diseases that are close to that or in some way overlapping, study the protocol, go back to why each color is used and things like that, and validate. All right, let's go to the next chapter. Chapter 3. Who am I? So why is it important to understand who am I? Think about it. You see, we are all living. So is it not the most important thing to know is what is the purpose of my life? Why am I living? Number one. But to know that, before you can answer that question, the first, most basic, primary, fundamental thing to know is who am I? Because if I say I am the body, then the answer to why am I alive will be different. If I say I am the mind, then the answer will be different. And if I say I am the soul, then the answer to the question, why do I have life, will be different. Correct? सोचिए इसके बारे में, think about it. If you, so that is why Master, before he starts giving up his main spiritual thesis, he wants us to recognize and he wants us to reaffirm who we really are. Now, this chapter, my suggestion is, before we go into this chapter, may I suggest, please scan your spiritual cord. Please scan your aura for spiritual energy. You remember in the previous chapter, Master said reading this book will improve the spiritual energy in your aura. It will increase the size of your spiritual cord. Yes, okay. Now let's read this book. Now read this chapter. I am that I am. So we'll read it twice. First, we'll just go a little slow and we will, if there's any word or term that you would like to, or, that we need to discuss, we can discuss. Otherwise, then we will read it again in continuity. I am that I am. I am not the body. The body is the vehicle of the soul. So very clear, you or I am not the body. The body is the vehicle of the soul. What does it mean to say vehicle? For example, you drive a car or you drive a scooter or anything, you drive some vehicle. You are not the vehicle. The vehicle is taking you from place A to place B. You are the driver of the vehicle. The vehicle is serving a purpose for you. Similarly, Master is saying the body is like a vehicle. It is serving a purpose, but you are not the body. You are using the body. I am not the emotion. I am not the thought. The carpenter is not the furniture. The emotions and the thoughts are products of the soul. Just meditate on this paragraph. I am not the emotion. I am not the thought. Now, why does Master say carpenter is not the furniture? Because the carpenter manufactures or creates or produces the furniture. The furniture is a product of the efforts or the activity of the carpenter. Correct? Now, similarly, the emotions and the thoughts are not the soul, but are products of the activity of the soul. As the soul uses our bodies, it is able to produce or generate the emotions and the thoughts. And we have experienced this, right? Every time we do twin heart meditation, Master says, think of a happy moment. Now, at that time, you are creating a thought. You are also experiencing an emotion. It is under your control. Who are you? You are the soul. Okay. I am not the mind. The computer user is not the computer. The mind is only a subtle instrument of the soul. I am the soul. So again, why Master is using the example of computer? Because like we sit on the computer and use the computer to do calculations, this, that, and so on. Similarly, the soul uses the mind. It is a subtle instrument of the soul. Why subtle means it is not gross. Why master needs to clarify this? Because some Western philosophers have taken the mind to be the soul. Indian philosophy has not made that mistake. But Western philosophers, some Western philosophers, I'm sorry, I can't give you the name right now, I don't remember, but some of them have, like one of them said, I think, therefore I am. I think it was Descartes or Descartes. Anyway, some Western philosophers have created this confusion that you are the mind, the soul is the mind. So, Master has clarified here. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am one with my higher soul. I am that I am. This line, I am that I am, this I am comes from, I think, Moses, where he goes to the mountaintop, he sees the burning bush, and he's given the 10 commandments. And then he says that when I go back to, humanity, what should I tell them? Who are you? I mean, how should I? So just the burning bush says, burning bush is, God, says that you say, I met that I am. So this is where it comes from. So, Master is saying you have to remind yourself, or we have to affirm that we are spiritual beings and we have three primary qualities: divine intelligence, we have the ability to think, to make choices, to take decisions, we have the ability to love, and we have divine power, we have will. We can choose, we can not only choose, but we can follow our choices. We are not victims of circumstances. We have our own abilities. And these three qualities are really the qualities of the higher soul. And this is where Master says, I am. I am here is the incarnated soul, one with my higher soul. I am that I am. So this I am, the incarnated I am, is that means it is united or one or same as the higher I am, that is the higher soul. I am one with my divine spark. So if you are aware of the soul teachings, the higher soul has actually come down. So it's like this, that there is supreme God, which is like an ocean, and from that every drop, that drop projects, that is the divine spark, that projects a portion of itself, higher soul, downwards into grosser matter. And that projects itself further down into grosser matter. That is the incarnated soul, which takes up the bodies. So I am one with my divine spark, or we can also say Paramatma. I am one with my Paramatma. I am a child of God. Why? Because the soul, have come from God. I am connected with God. I am one with God. I am one with all. Now, this is something that through constant affirmation, through constant reminder, we have to, in a sense, we can say, brainwash ourselves that is the truth. And one way to do that is you have scanned your inner, or you scanned your spiritual cord. And now let's read this again. So what we do is, maybe you can put your book down and I will read this. You just follow me. I hope you can hear me clearly. So just follow me. आप भी इसको बोलिए, है ना? Maybe मतलब loudly, or just whisper it, or maybe just mentally. I am that I am. I am not the body. The body is the vehicle of the soul. I am not the emotion. I am not the thought. The carpenter is not the furniture. The emotions and the thoughts are products of the soul. I am not the mind. The computer user is not the computer. The mind is only a subtle instrument of the soul. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am one with my higher soul. I am that I am. I am one with my divine spark. I am a child of God. I am connected with God. I am one with God. I am one with all. This is the truth. This is the true reality. So 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 Just be still, be aware. You would like to scan your spiritual cord, just be aware of your inner state. Scan your spiritual cord. Yes, do you see a difference? I hope you see a difference.
Yes, sir.
So, how do you feel? What is your inner state?
Calmness.
Calmness aati hai. हाँ जी. So, the qualities of the higher soul. When we do this, actually, our spiritual cord increases, our connection with the higher soul, the amount of divine, spiritual energy coming down, and the qualities of spiritual energy are peace, stillness, and bliss. So generally, this is what we should feel. All right. So let's stop here for today.